Hi, it's Lucy from Art Shed Angel, and I just wanted to show you my art journal that I created when I was over in England this year. One of my previous videos shows you how I actually make this mixed media journal. So have a look at that as well. I'll have the link below in the video so that you can go to that video and have a look at how I made it. This is my leather cover. Now, I've been in England for a month, the whole month of September, and I've been doing journaling in the time that I was there. So, just to start off with, the things I brought with me was a water pen, and I have these great set of watercolor paints, which I'm also trying to get for my store, and they were really great for painting. And I also have some watercolor pans. So, pretty much in my pencil case, I had this and this, which I've added a couple of colours to, or a few colours to. I've had my beautiful Blackwing pencils, which are great because they've got an eraser on the end as well. Beautiful soft pencils to draw with these. And I also had a black permanent. Now, this is a waterproof pigment ink pen. So this is one of the new ones I've just bought, and it's a brush one, so I really love this because you can do thin and thick lines. But just to show you my journal, everywhere I go, I've been doing journaling, and some of this was even done on the plane. So this is pretty much just the starting page for my trip. So we arrived in Bath, and there was the Minerva owls, which were just beautiful. You can see here I've also used my HP Sprocket printer photos. Now they print straight from your phone, which is really, really great. I love my HP Sprocket, and people have asked me about the quality of the photos. I think they're a fair quality for the kind of camera and the cost of it. So, and they are actually quite economic. You can see here, I draw whatever comes to my mind. So people go, whatever do you draw? And I find things that interest me. And the Minerva owls became quite a bit of a trick for me because there was, I think, 82 owls. And I think I found about 35, which was great. Now, I also do mixed media when I travel. And I take with me these little tubes. These are Montmartre ones, but little tubes of acrylic paint, and I've got them in metallics and small. So these I obviously don't take with me when I'm walking around. In the walk around bag, I keep to the watercolors and the brush pen and that. But at night, I sometimes like to do a little bit more. Now, this was a brochure I found on how to connect the internet in greenhouse accommodation where we were staying. So I really felt like traveling is something about connecting with people. So I cut these little dolls out. Paper dolls remind me of being childhood and an adventure. So this is just all done with the acrylics, and I also take some matte medium with me in a bottle. This one here, I've also used the acrylic paint. I found this beautiful large leaf. It's the beginning of autumn in England. So I painted onto the leaf, and then I placed it onto the page. And then once I'd placed onto the page, I actually drew the outline of the leaf and coloured it in so that you got that full effect, and also the layers. And I like to add shadows to things too, just to make them pop. I spent a bit of time in Bath, and we went on a boat ride, and these are just sort of pictures of things I like. I love their buildings in Bath. So when you're looking at it, what actually interests you, and also to write about it. So these are some boats. We went on a boat ride, and you can add little things like this. I went on a fabulous, actually, comedy tour of Bath, and it's called Bizarre Bath, and you all gather together at 8 o'clock at night, and it's quite a funny event, can I tell you. We went to Pembroke Castle, which is this here. So I basically was sitting there having a coffee inside the castle and drawing, and I put facts and things up on my pages as well. This one's another mixed media one. In Pembroke, I found some beautiful sheet music in a second-hand shop, so I actually used my matte medium to put that down, and I've also used some Caran d'Ache crayons on this one here, which I did bring in my kit for at night use. Tenby was a very favourite spot, and I did this sketch while we were waiting for the boat on the beach. Now, obviously, I didn't colour it while I was waiting for the boat. Excuse me. So I took a photo of the colours because we were waiting for a boat. I put some pictures in here too of the great time, and I coloured it at home at night. Some of it I coloured while we were actually at a coffee shop as well. Sometimes if I want to really remember colours, I'll even put spot colours on to make sure I have it right. Now, occasionally I don't actually finish a page. We were having lunch and I drew this, which was Tenby in Wales. And that was the inside when we were having lunch. So I will actually finish this one day, draw the lines in and colour it in. But it doesn't matter to me whether I do or I don't. This one was here when we were on our way to Carnarvon. So we stopped at a beautiful little creek and there was leaves floating down on the creek. The feather wasn't there, but it reminded me of freedom. So I drew the leaves and I did like a water background. Now, sometimes the weather isn't so great when you travel, so you sit in coffee shops and you do all sorts of different drawings. This was a gentleman who was waiting across the road. I liked the way he was dressed. And I just liked that whole feeling of being in a place. This was the hotel. There was this old dilapidated building that was a bright yellow and blue, and it interested me as well. And I've used that page to stick on things. So sometimes pages aren't really planned. This is another one where I did use the music behind, and this one's all acrylics and also Posca pens. And this one here is a watercolor one. I love this because my little totem animal is actually a woolly wagtail in Australia. And I really love this saying because we travel because we need to, because distance and difference are the secret tonic for creativity. We are home. When we are home, it is still the same, but something in our mind has changed, and that changes everything. And that is truly why I travel, and also why I art journal while I travel. So these sort of things here, just to remind you of why you're somewhere and why they inspire you. One of my favourite things was on rainy days is to go to Costa Coffee, which I've drunk a little bit of while I was away, and just watching people. And this was a very quick sketch of a couple who were waiting by a window, and the gentleman kept on asking his wife where they wanted to go next. So it really inspired me to draw them. This is another one. I went on a walk in Wells Cathedral, and I'd been quite sick before the walk. And after the walk, I went to a coffee shop, and again, the sun was starting to come out. The flowers really intrigued me, how beautiful the flowers are, and all the posts over there. And also, again, the coffee shop and the beautiful floor. So I start sketching lines and working from there. This one was actually completed at the actual coffee shop, but when you're in a coffee shop, you have time. This one here was inspired by Wells Cathedral window, and I really love the window in Wells Cathedral, and it's all about changing your life. I've also got another video which I'll put a link in, and it has pictures of that window and what I believe that window tells us. So another day I went to the Chalice Well in Glastonbury, and I just love the Chalice Well. It's just a great, beautiful gardens, and it's a very mystical place. So for a time I sat on my own by the well and I did this sketch here, which I also coloured while I was there. This little bird kept on coming by, so I did a really quick watercolour sketch. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, but I can't draw, or I can't do those sort of sketches. It is a bit of practice, and the truth is it's what you think it is, not what other people is. This is kind of like I'm showing you this, but it is a kind of private journal of my trip. So there's things in here I write about and things that I did that are kind of private. So you don't actually have to show everybody. This one here is a really good expression of how I learn different techniques, or I use different techniques. I drew this one here while I was on the tour. I walked up to the tour and I drew this building on the tour. And I did this just only the drawing because it was very, very windy up there. And these photos are actually from a previous trip to the tour, which is where my daughter and I went. But what I'm going to show you mostly about this is I love the colours that I've got and the different technique here. And I'm actually going to use this in a larger painting sometime because I love the way that that has worked and the vibrancy. And it reminded me of Glastonbury, which is a very colourful place. This one here was a response to people asking me what I take with me, so I actually had everything laid out around it, which is also in one of my photos on my Instagram page. Now this page here is a response to an antique fair I went to, and it is one single sheet of beautiful paper. So it's tissue paper that I've stuck the whole sheet down on the page, and then I've drawn these pots and circles, and I've coloured in between and then rubbed it back some so you could still see the colour. So you can see when you move it that you can still see the colour. You can use a stencil. I actually keep a stencil for acrylic paint in my kit, so it sits in the back here. Also a great place to put tickets and things. So that's that. But, you know, so if you are somebody who doesn't like to draw all that much, this page here was created with a photograph from a HP sprocket. Yes, I've drawn some arches there. This here is the thing from, we went to a Baroque, French Baroque harpsichord musical thing in Wells Cathedral, and that was the program, the front of the program, and these were the tickets. So if you don't like to draw a lot, you can do simple drawings and collect things, collect brochures and things like that. So this was quite funny to me because I actually decided I really don't like French Baroque music. This one here was a fun one for me because this is the day we went to the antique fair, and I bought this beautiful Mickey Mouse, and he's 60 centimeters tall, and I just did a page in because I love Disney. I love Disney because I love the art in that as well. And this one here is just background coloured and a brochure from Wells Cathedral that I've cut up. So you can see you don't need to, this was just ink pads or acrylic paint rubbed onto the background with a border and then the pictures stuck on. So you can see you can collect beautiful photographs and things like that while you are travelling. This one here was a trip to St Ives in Cornwall where I did a lovely art class, and these are sketches, but very simple sketches. So I just looked at the boats and I did some colouring with it as well. So sometimes I do sticking, sometimes I do drawing. It really depends on the time and what actually captures me. And this one here is in relation to, we spent a bit of time in Marizion and also Penzance and St Ives, and we had a lot of kind of bad weather, and then we went to Tintagel where we still had some bad weather, and I wasn't feeling really great, so I bought myself a red raincoat and I had a bright umbrella and I still went out. So this was really in response to the fact that, you know, sometimes we just got to perk ourselves up and not worry about the weather. So when I didn't worry about the weather, I went to St Nectan's Glen. And this is a photo, this one here is one that I actually did in the coffee shop in St Nectan's Glen, which is a beautiful place that everyone should go. It's a very spiritual place. And I did imagine fairies being there helping pour the water in the fountains. So that's why I've got a fairy drawn there. And my last few days in England was spent in Bath, where I really enjoyed watching buskers and listening to buskers, opera singers, and this gentleman here was busking, singing great songs, and there was chairs in a line and chairs around the edges, and I saw people sitting having ice cream. I sat and had ice cream, so it inspired me to do this page, which says a lot of things as well. And also, one of my last visits was to the Holborn Art Gallery, and I love Gainsborough paintings. So I bought this card, and that's also stuck in there. And I will actually write more in there about that. And then I was flying home, and in my flight home, I decided I would do some colouring, because it's nice to do something when you're flying, when you're trying to stay awake so you don't have too much jet lag when you get home. And this was just about happiness. Like, I was pretty happy after my trip. I really enjoyed it. And then when I got home, I had my friend over here, and we did some art together. So that was really great, coming home and still doing art. So this art journal doesn't finish until I like to finish my journals. So I'm working on it. So this one here is crayons and oil pastels, and you know, you just got to enjoy life. And again, back in a coffee shop, I wanted to talk about imagining things. So sometimes when you're sitting in a coffee shop, what am I going to draw? There was a sugar pot there, and there was some flowers behind the sugar pot, and I just imagined little mice trying to collect some of that sugar. I also had a friend who was staying with me, who looked after my house. She's a very good friend. Showed me some dotting techniques, because she does some beautiful pictures with dotting and on rocks and stones and things. And this is just a little bit of a practice. I'm actually going to finish this page. The next page I did here, I did do the drawing from a photograph. Now, this was a photograph I took in the pump room in Bath, which was a bit naughty, I guess. And it just was, well, actually was a very distant photograph, so there was no real detail in it. And I just made up the detail. But as of a gentleman sitting on his own, and I imagined that he was sitting there with somebody. And so that's part of it. I think imagination is a huge thing in our art journaling. It doesn't have to be exactly what was there. And I wanted to explain too that a lot of my pictures are not exactly what was there, and not necessarily an exact depiction of each person. It's easy when you look at pictures to go, oh my gosh, they're great artists because they've drawn a person. But the person may not necessarily look exactly like what they do in real life. So it's all about getting a feeling. So this one here is also when I've been home. Now that one there, sorry, I did while I was home. So it just stayed in my mind, that picture. So I wanted to add it to this journal. And this one here is a little bit about strength. And there was a lovely photo in a magazine that I was looking through, and she just looked powerful to me, so I did sketching. Now I'm going to be doing a lot of videos on how to sketch and how to get proportions right, so if you join my YouTube page you'll be able to watch them as well, or join my group. This one here again is just a bit of a whimsical one. It's a photograph of one of those wooden drawing people, and I've put some clothes on it. So sometimes I just take pictures out of magazines. And I still have a few pages left which I'm going to work on. But I have to say, making your own journal, making it the size you want it, and also the quality of paper is a really great thing. So if you want to learn more about art journaling, how to draw, how to paint, please follow my page. Thank you again, and please give it a go. It's from Lucy from Art Shed Angel. Bye.